Hi, I'm Rebecca and this is Jackie, and we are couples therapists with Inland Empire Couples Counseling. And this video is part of a series that we're doing about discernment counseling. And real briefly, discernment counseling is a short-term therapy that is for people who are on the brink of divorce or breakup when you maybe can't decide if you should stay in the relationship or not. Or maybe there's one person who is thinking about ending the relationship and the other one really wants it. So discernment counseling is to help walk people through the decision-making process so that you can both be on the same page. Are we leaving things as they are? Are we breaking up? Or are we going to move into couples counseling then, where we will try to fix the problems that exist in the relationship? So, and we have a couple other blog posts and videos that talk a little more in detail about what that process is like. We'll include links to those. And what we're talking about today is why it's important to have a therapist to help you through this. Because if it's just making a decision, could you not just talk to your family and friends? So Jackie, what do you think about that? Why does it matter, or why is it helpful maybe to have a therapist walk you through discernment counseling?
Yeah, I think it's important to go through discernment counseling with a therapist. I mean, one, I think therapists know a lot about healthy relationships, and not just how to communicate and how to connect, but also how to heal, how to recover when trust has been broken or there's been so much hurt. And so I think with that, you're getting an expert that knows how to help keep or get back a healthy relationship.
Yeah, and with all the couples that we see, we also have seen a whole lot of ways that relationships can be damaged and know how to fix them. So there may be some hope there that the couples therapist has that your family and friends might not, because they might just be like, I don't know, that sucks, maybe you should leave. Right?
Yeah. I think I was going to add to that is a therapist, we don't tell you what to do, right? And so, we help you be able to make a decision, and kind of leaning into why not do it with family and friends? Your family and friends might tell you what to do, but that may not be so helpful, right? If they never even really liked your partner in the first place, that could be really, easy for them to just jump to oh, you should totally leave the relationship. Or even on the other hand, right? If your family is really against divorce or just doesn't want to see you go through that heartbreak, they might be really quick to just make you stay or want to keep you in that relationship. And so, with a therapist, we're really trying to help you understand what it would look like if you stayed, or what it would look like if you left, what the work would look like if you did stay or if you did leave, so that you kind of have an idea of okay, this is what's going to take for me to be able to move through this or move past this. And am I able to even do those things, so that you can make a decision, not just based off of our opinion on your partner or the relationship.
Right. And there's this other thing with, you might not be ready to talk to your family and friends, right? Because it could be, if you're uncertain about whether you're going to stay in the relationship or not, that you don't want to tell your family and friends, hey, I'm thinking about leaving and this is why, because then if you stick it out and you work on the relationship, your family and friends now know all of the dirt, right?
Yeah.
Or that could even be a thing that further erodes trust in the relationship if one or both of you is hey, why are you talking, why are you spreading our dirty laundry, right? But you still want to have some support. And I think it's important that the therapist is a neutral third party who doesn't have that investment in, well, if you break up, then we can't hang out anymore, or whatever.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because that can be a thing. It's oh, well, we're couple friends, and so I don't want you guys to break up, because then that we can't do the camping trips together, or who are we going to watch football with, or whatever those things are.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think kind of adding on to that with airing the dirty laundry, that can be hard for not just you as the couple to be able to move forward, but also your own family and friends, right? If you do stay together and they kind of advised you not to, or heard the dirty laundry, it can be really hard to get all of those people back on board after maybe what was disclosed. And so it can be really hard for all parties to move forward if you do decide to stay after airing out that dirty laundry, and vice versa. Like you were saying, the camping trips, if, we are close friends and I don't want you to break up, because how would that impact me and the fun I get to have with my partner? Because that includes you and your partner, right? So you have to just be really careful with who you share that with. And oftentimes, I think it's best to do that with a therapist that's just neutrally there, unbiased. Yeah.
Right, right. And the therapist who has the training in discernment counseling also has this specialized skill in helping people walk through this exact decision-making process. We might know of things that you haven't tried yet. We can help you evaluate the situation from all these different angles. I can't tell you how often we sit with couples and I know you've experienced this too, Jackie, that we start asking people questions and they go, oh, I'd never thought about it like that before.
Yeah.
And so even if the result is that you decide to split up, you can be confident in that decision, knowing that it was a really thought out decision and not something that you were just rash about, or that, like, oh, maybe I hadn't thought of this particular thing and I'm going to regret it later. And I think even if the relationship ends, there can be some benefit to that you get to walk away without having those regrets of like, we should have tried harder, or maybe there's something that I'm missing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want to say about why? Oh, look at this. I had these words all ready to put up, and then we had the whole conversation. And I didn't. Is there anything else you want to say about why you think it matters to go through this process with a therapist, or maybe how working with a therapist can be helpful?
Yeah, and maybe you touched on it a little bit of just like, this is a big decision, and it can be really hard for a lot of couples that do make a decision to leave. Like, oftentimes people in hindsight look back and go, what if I had just actually reconsidered separation and like just had time to cool off? Like, would I have still made that same decision? Or like, if we did separate, and then came back to couples therapy, could that have actually gone better because we didn't like rush into just trying to fix the thing before we were even ready? And so like this last ditch effort that couples therapy can oftentimes be, can put like a lot of pressure to do that well. And if we're not even in the space quite yet where we have really thoroughly thought out all of these options, either way, we could have regret of like not really knowing if we made a good decision, and kind of moving too fast. So I think, yeah, with a therapist, you slow it down, you really look at it from different angles. That way you can actually digest it, process it, and choose not just off of hurt or anger or even fear, whether that's to stay or leave. Yeah.
Right. And if you work with one of our therapists at Inland Empire Couples Counseling, and you decide that you want to work on the relationship and you're going to go into couples therapy, you just keep working with the same person who has already helped you through the discernment counseling process. And if you're the person who's leaning towards wanting to stay in the relationship and it's your partner who's kind of leaning out and doesn't want to be in it, this could be the difference in whether they'll do couples therapy with you or not, because discernment counseling isn't a commitment yet to work on the relationship. It's like, let's go in, let's talk to the therapist, let's figure out what's possible. And if that end result is that your partner is willing to stay with you for 6 months or so, let's really work on the relationship and see what kind of improvements can be made. Like, that's totally worth it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're interested in couples therapy or specifically discernment counseling, you can check us out at iecouplescounseling.com. We have in-person sessions in Murrieta and Riverside, California, and we also are available online for people throughout the state of California.